Good afternoon. Today is July 8th, 2021, and this is a quick theory and speculation. I told you about the ride in 1967 with Julia and me. She admits the ride. We don't know exactly how this gentleman, this POS, I guess, got to Jacksonville or why he was in Jacksonville. I have some speculation on that. But I'm thinking now he could have had a marker. In other words, a younger brother, a fence. Remember, he knew a fence, a guy that was had an antique store and was taking stolen property and got in trouble with the law. In around that period, in 1969, Liz Clover met him, the fence without a prison. So he could have had any dark-haired young man check in at his dormitory and stay there and say, look, I'm going to do some traveling. My parents want me down here at Stanford. I've got a rental red VW. You go ahead and stay in the dormitory and act as me for a few days. The school wasn't started. Nobody's going to really pay attention to him. All he had to have was a guy who was a similar shape and build, you know. Anyway, I want to go into some, Julia admits the ride. I want to go into some misadventures that we had with Julia. So I would see her from time to time. And one time we went to the roller rink. I used to love to go to the roller dome. It was on Cassett Avenue. And I would, that would be so much fun. And I could skate fast. I was really good at skating fast. I did my legs a certain way, in and out, and I could pick up speed like that. And then at a certain time in the evening, they'd dim the lights, and there would be, I don't know what you call it, a ball, a sequined or mirrored ball would drop down from the ceiling. And then music would get real quiet, and the guys and girls could skate together, as a couple, and just skate around the rink, And then also, I might add, there was an organist. Remember, I told you Julia's mother was an organist in the heart of Jacksonville? She was a hostess, a barmaid, a hostess, organist. Okay, so one time we went up to the roller derm, and Julia said, no, let's go across the street to the bowling alley. I didn't particularly want to go. I had to cross Cassett Avenue and go to the bowling alley. Bowling alley had no attraction to me, but I said, okay, we'll go across the street to the bowling alley, whatever. And I learned several lessons from that. There was also a grocery store in a bowling alley called CC Grocery and Bowling Alley. And there was a white car, either a 1954 Impala with the fishtails, or it could have been a Cadillac white with fishtails, an older model Cadillac that had fishtails, The guy, we have a law firm called Harrell and Harrell. The father in Harrell and Harrell, who's passed away unfortunately, he had a ruddy complexion and blonde hair, I think called a Ducktale Cut. Well, there was a guy like that, because this was the 1960s, right? And he was sitting in this white Impala with red seats, ruddy complexion, blonde hair, wavy, like I said, ducktail. And there was another girl who was a couple years older. Let's say we were 12 or 13, same period, right? And we're walking across the parking lot. She comes up and she has yellow jackets and beanies. Well, these were some types of drugs. They may have been amphetamine. They may have been barbiturates. I don't know. I didn't want any. And she was stoned and she was wandering the parking lot. Well, and Julia and I are talking and walking and stuff. And then she started talking to the ruddy, blonde-haired, country boy-looking dude in his white Impala or white Cadillac with red seats, convertible. And she got up on one of the fenders, the fishtail type fender, and she was sitting up there awkwardly and talking to the guy. Well, the guy, as we walked by, he had an open six-pack of beer on the seat. For some reason, he panicked, because there's a 15-year-old girl sitting on his car. He panicked and pulled forward. She crashed to the pavement and clacked her head on the pavement. It's nauseating. A woman threw her groceries down and ran to the girl to see if she was all right. We went on our way into the thing. I learned several things from this. One, if you tell your parents you're at the roller dome, please be at the roller dome. Two, do not drink and drive. Three, men aren't all they're supposed to be. Four, don't take the drugs that are offered out in society. You don't know what they are or what they might do to you. And five, a person hitting their head with no protection onto the pavement is very dangerous and nauseating. So, I learned that. I never did drugs. I never drunk and drive. It was just right there. The lesson was there. Don't go somewhere your parents don't think. But regardless, we still did a few things. There was 16th birthday party. One guy had passed out. Remember they had enclosed a porch? I think she had additional contact with Bundy. I can't help but think she did. She may have been like a Carol Byrne person who just refused to believe he did something wrong. There were people like that. But, because they may have formed a friendship with the family in 1967. So she says, yes, the ride occurred, but she doesn't say anything else happened. But I think there may have been some other contact over the years, the close in years, 67, 68, 69. And then maybe a friendship and vacations, that we don't know about. Because for a couple years there, he was going east and west, east and west, east and west. And, we don't know. But I think he may have had a marker filling in for him that said, yeah, he was in there, So if you say, yeah, would you like a trip to San Francisco, basically, I'm going to do some traveling. So you get your buddy and go down there, your buddy goes in. I know Jonathan and his brother Justin look a lot alike. They could fill in for each other, at least for a week or two. Nobody would, So anyway, and why you say, well, why wouldn't that person come forward? Well, if they were already on the other side of the law as a fence, or why get involved? I mean, if he did have a marker there, I don't know what he did. As far as phone calls go, you could put you could put about $1.25 worth of quarters in a payphone back then, and you could say you were anywhere. So if he called us, I love it down here, it's so beautiful in San Francisco, whatever. He could be anywhere and tell his mom he was down there. But anyway, so that was one misadventure, the bowling alley misadventure. Another one was at a 16th birthday party where there was a young guy, a very small guy, passed out in the enclosed, I guess they enclosed it and had an extra bathroom out there, and he's passed out in the tub, and I was worried if somebody put water in there, he'd drowned or something. And then there was a motorcycle, a rather large motorcycle, and Julia hops on it. She didn't know how to ride it. She didn't know how to steer it. She didn't know how to put the brakes on. What I learned from that is you don't get in a vehicle without knowing how to start and stop it. You don't get in a vehicle without knowing how to control it. She basically crashed in somebody's yard. Let's see, another misadventure. She had a friend named Sparks, is, an Oriental type girl. And she kept egging me on and egging. She said, do you want to try some pot? Well, no, I did not want to try any pot. So I graduated. One thing that was fun, there was Kevin Elson, and he became a Hollywood producer couple houses down from Julia, and he was a manager at that time of the Leonard Skinner band. So I did sneak out, and I snuck out. We watched Creature Feature, the Van Vant guy, the Rossinger guy with his dark complexion and dark hair. I think Steve Gaines had very fine, almost reddish tinted hair, sienna hair, very fine hair, and he showed me the G note and how there is a house in New Orleans they call the rising sun. It's been the ruin of... Anyway, we watched Creature Feature, but then I knew enough to go home. But I don't think Julia went home. I think she went ahead and stayed over and played in the pool. Her mom worked night shift and stuff. So anyway, this is some of the things that kind of misadventures that we got involved in. And so there was a ride from Jeb Stewart, and I do believe a phone number was given. And that is why I don't think anybody should get a free ride. In other words, why should this family, if they had involvement, maybe even a romantic involvement with one of the older sisters, then why should they get a free ride? Because to me, the bottom line of it all is wherever he traveled, people could potentially have gone missing. So if you can show a little side trip, 67, 68, 69, or them traveling to Colorado to learn to ski or something, then you got it. So I don't know why. Also, if he was hurt by the extremely wealthy woman in San Francisco, what if he was hurt at the same period of time by the admiral commander's daughter in Jacksonville? I mean, there is something there. I'm sorry. There's something there. God help me. I wish somebody could pick up on this. Thank you.